Thanks. Matthew Todd. I did a dissertation on the ethnic churches that go through these transitions and in the Chinese context, and unfortunately up in the Canadian context, where we find that once they mature, become English-speaking adult congregations, they exodus in huge numbers. So I tackled that on as working in a Chinese church, because this is something I came to see and discovered in ministerials. People were sharing about it. It's a hemorrhaging, and so I wanted to tackle that. And I started out up at Carey. Am I allowed to say that? 3 years in it, which was just all pastors. And my coming to BGU really wasn't anything I anticipated. I think it was in God's mind, but not anything I anticipated. My wife and I were in a 12-year pastorate, and in 18 days, I lost a grandmother, a sister who was murdered, and an aunt. And it just blew a hole through me, and we just felt incapacitated to pastor. We didn't feel like a sabbatical was long enough. So I left and went into the corporate context, working for a distributor for Unilever Canada, which was, again, another loss, really going from a congregation. And then just a huge leap after 12 years of pastoring, going into a corporate context. At that time, God brought a special gift into my life, and that person's name was Dr. Ward Gask, who has some history in this context. And Ward was working in a Chinese church in Richmond, and it was where I had done a couple of years of surveys, about 90 surveys, on the Chinese churches to try to come to terms with what were the factors that were shoving people out, and try to put this together, analyze it, put some recommendations, and bring it back to the churches so we could actually do something practical in making some changes. So Ward brought me into this, and right off the bat, these courses like theology of work, you could only imagine going from a pastorate into a marketing context. It was just like I had a lot of old thoughts in my head about pastor not taking your hand from the plow, and stuff that I've been taught from older generation pastors, basically. The stuff that said in behind closed doors, look, you really, this is the, you know what I'm talking about. Some of you know what I'm talking about. And that just kind of flushed my system, inspired me, challenged me, and gave me a whole different sense of purpose in working in that context. Within about 10 months, I resumed doing itinerant preaching in various churches, denominations, a high percentage of Chinese churches in the greater Vancouver area. And Ward said, Matthew, what do you think about BGU? He said, why don't you take your research there and just carry on? So, well, the rest of it is history, but this was a gift, because getting involved and going and seeing, going on Overture 2 to China, experiencing Hong Kong, Shanghai, Beijing, all those volumes, it just totally fit it. Ever since I was 17, I'd served in cross-cultural contexts with Chinese or Italians. My wife is an Italian. Served in the Italian church stuff. And it just was so helpful. Going down to Fresno, seeing what was going on in the Latino people, seeing some similarities, some of the Afro-American contacts, and then, like I say, over in China. This was so meant to be, and has given me such a stronger sense of God's sovereign hand at work in all the pieces that preface, coming to transitions and that kind of thing. I really sense God recalibrating myself and my wife, and I'm so grateful to the faculty and the staff here at BGU. I mean, the support is incredible. It's been a really encouraging context. And I also want to publicly say thank you to my wife, because she gave me the permission to do this. She supported me. She came down to Fresno, and Randy and a whole host allowed her to come in and just sit in. But this has just been a marvelous journey, and one which just my feet are so strongly rooted in this sense of God's sovereignty and being journey orientated in what's going on. I'm excited for whatever the next chapters are, because I just sense that this is God's on about something. It's much bigger than we are. I never could foresee this. Before we left that church, I tell you, I had all the year planned for preaching, for the budget, for the strategy. I had everything set, and in February, it just blew up, and yet God had something very redemptive in store. So I hope that's encouraging to you. Thank you to the BGU people. I've never get a chance to be able to say that in a public way. Gwen, thank you. Randy, Lowell, Judy, Melton, and the rest who are here. Thank you so much. Lord bless you.
Here.